Welcome everybody to our Friday top producer interview for Mortgage Mastermind Group. I'm Paul Baxter and I'm here to help you grow. Guys, I have a fantastic class today. We're here with Mr. Chad Bates down in the Dallas, Texas area, and Chad's going to be talking to us about a specific system for growing your referral partner network, your referral partner base. Chad, how's it going today, my friend?
Doing fantastic, Paul. How are you doing?
Oh, brother, it's another day in paradise. I'm sitting here. I'm just a couple of minutes outside of Omaha, Nebraska today, as a matter of fact, and it is. I swear, it feels like October here. I live in Florida, so I'm used to those 95 degrees, 110% humidity. So you put me in a place like Nebraska where it's like 82 degrees outside. It feels like October.
Well, watch out for those Cornhuskers.
I'm telling you, my everything I see is red everywhere. I've been wearing my Gator shirt around today, though. So
there you go.
You got to represent, right? Guys, girls, welcome to our class. Today, as I mentioned, we're going to be talking about building your Realtor referral partners network. And we're going to talk about some very specific steps that you need to take to get that ball rolling. And with that being said, Chad, if you want to jump right in, I know you've got some things that you've done, golly, for many years that have proven to be very successful steps that each person can take to solidify a referral partner base, which, in our discussion, you had mentioned to me that that's one of the core things that each and every loan officer needs to have in their business is a realtor referral network.
Absolutely. It's got to be the number one pillar, Paul. But now, a lot of the other pillars that we teach and are having systems put in place for our members will feed that referral network and give us additional business and keep us in control of our business, because we'll be able to refer business back to our realtor partners. But you have to have some top producing realtors. I mean, they can refer business to us all day long, but the key is, how do we go about building relationships with them, and how do we go about targeting them? And I think that what I want to talk about today is again, a purposeful, planned implementation approach towards building our realtor referral networks. And the key in any kind of business, and certainly in business like we're in, where our time is all we have. How do we spend our hours in our day? That's the key. But I think the key is not just going about it kind of haphazardly. I see loan officers all across the country that they kind of flounder, if you will, in terms of building a referral network. And so what I'm going to go through today is a very systematic approach that has proven over many, many years. I introduced this to the industry back in 1993, and it's been rewarding to me. I've seen a lot of training companies kind of emulate this over time. But we're going to go through a real systematic, step-by-step process that anyone that follows these steps will find that they will have success and find the right partners to fit into their business. And I think that's key. You and I have talked about that many, many times.
Absolutely. And so let's talk about step one. I mean, the first thing that you've got to do is kind of figure out who your target is. That's the first step, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, and there again, that's something that I see time and time again. Most loan officers begin by going to a realtor board function or taking somebody to play golf or have lunch, what have you, and they really have not gone about it the right way. The first step absolutely is developing your target list. And that's, that doing a little bit of research. Now, this doesn't have to take a long period of time. There's ways that you can expedite it. So we've got seven different ways here that we can develop our target list. So the one that I think is absolutely essential is I would start with building relationships with title companies. We have one title company that we send almost all of our business to here, and they in turn help us and introduce us sometimes to people that they know are doing a lot of business. And
now
so
I'm sorry to interrupt. Help me understand, why is the title company so important in that respect?
Well, they have relationships, and they normally have marketing reps that go out into the marketplace and develop relationships, and so they're constantly scouring the market, and they have access to information that most lenders don't have access to. And so they know who's doing business.
And our target, I mean, what it sounds like is the title rep and us as lenders, our focus is the same. We all need more realtors.
Absolutely, and building a strong relationship with a title company, you know, and it's easy to do. What we do is we direct all of our refinance business to a particular title company. We have a closer that does a great job. She'll do mobile closings for us. She'll even come to our office if we ask her to. And then we actually structure, because some of our other pillars, as you know, Paul, we are generating the business on our end, and so we will specify in the contracts that those our legacy carrier clients, for instance, close at a particular title company.
Oh wow, okay.
And so we've given them some business too. Again, it's a reciprocal type relationship. That's what we're looking for with realtor referrals as well as title companies. So I don't mind asking them for information because I'm giving them business.
Sure, it's a partnership. It's more than a referral network. It's more of a business partnership.
Absolutely, not in a legal sense, but but every other sense of the word, it is a partnership.
Excellent. Now, talk to me a little bit about the last option here, where it says cross-sell every realtor that does not have a relationship on every loan transaction. What's that look like?
Every time we get a contract in, we have a system and a procedure in place, and that's a whole other class, but where we cross-sell that realtor on every contract that we get in. So we get a contract in, it's got Jane Doe as the listing agent. We don't have a relationship with Jane Doe. We've got a systematic means of how we cross-sell that agent to see if we have a good fit with them. Because one of the things that is great is because we have so many different touch points through our systems in the course of a loan transaction, they get a sense of seeing how we do business that's different from other people. It's all about differentiating yourself from your competition in anything that we're talking about here.
I think you call that your unique selling proposition or your unique selling points, don't you?
Absolutely. USP.
That's it. I like it.
Now, I want to focus on, you know, I'm not going to read all this because I want people to understand that these are certainly things, but I want to focus on a couple of things. If you're not scouring your Sunday newspaper and bringing it to the office every Monday morning, or having your assistant do it to see who's getting top producer awards and that sort of thing, then you're missing the boat. So that's a wealth of information right there. But my number one favorite source is right here, and again, it goes back to title company. And in my case, I can go to my title company and they will give me information quarterly on closed transactions by a real estate agent in any market that I ask them to give it to me in. So now what do I mean by that? It's number of units and dollar amounts sorted from number one all the way through the rest of the MLS information of closed transactions by a real estate agent. Now, furthermore,
work out of that, doesn't it?
Well, and here's the best part, Paul. In our case, the information is sorted and it says how many of those were listings and how many of those were buyer transactions. And that is money. That is value right there, because then you're talking about, I can look and say, oh, I see an agent that's the top producer, but all they really are is doing a bunch of short sales because every transaction they've got is a listing. And then I can see, oh, look at this agent. They've got a 50-50 mix between listing and buyer transactions. Or here's one that's 100% buyer transactions. What does that tell me? That's a buyer's agent. So would we like to build a relationship with them? Absolutely.
You can also probably look at those reports and get a good idea as to who the up-and-comers are. Who are the people who are, you know, fairly new. They may not be in that top 5 or top 10, but you see them climbing each and every week.
There's no question. And we're going to go back, we'll talk about that a little bit later on in our presentation. But I think the key is we want to go places that other people don't go. And everybody's going after the top producers, but guess what? They've been in business for a long time, in most cases have entrenched relationships. So you're right. The up-and-comers, seeing those trends develop, so you sit down and compare 3 or 4 quarters with information, you start seeing where's the emerging trend, who's making a market move, who do we want to partner with.
Yeah. And James is asking, can you kind of repeat some of those specifics that you get from that MLS report that you get from your title rep?
We get sorted from top to bottom, number of transactions, dollar amounts of closed transactions, and it's sorted by purchases, buyers, if you will, as opposed to listings. So we have an aggregate number of everything combined and then broken out. One column has listings, another column has buyer transactions.
Now,
Again,
can that also,
again, it's number of units and dollars.
Can that help you if, let's say my average loan size is $170,000 and I'd like to increase my revenue, maybe not so much by number of loans I'm doing each month, but do it by getting into higher loan limits, you know, maybe go from 170 average to a 250 average. Can I look at those reports and determine who are the agents that are focused in those higher dollar amount sales and transactions?
Absolutely. And it also tells you the ones that are, you know, that are kind of the bottom feeders that, you know, we've got some agents in our market that all they do is $60,000 and $70,000 transactions. So absolutely, you just, you know, put the pencil to it and you've got X number of transactions with X $1 million worth of closed production units, then you can really quickly ascertain what their average size of their transaction is.
That's really valuable information. It sounds like, I mean, that, golly, between the Sunday paper and seeing who's getting the awards, who's being recognized for great service, and having that MLS report, golly, between those two things, you can really put together a nice target list.
Absolutely. And then there's one other thing that we do, and that's go to the grocery store and pick up, whether it's, depending on your area, the real estate book or home and land or home and garden or whatever it is, but get the 3 or 4 different real estate books. And the reason that I like to do that is that, unfortunately, those people are spending money thinking that they're going to do something to help build their business, and if we can show them a better way to cut their expenses and build their business from other avenues, then that is a great way to begin a relationship.
You become a partner right then and there because you've helped them fix their business. Instead of spending bad advertising money, you've shown them a way to do it differently, save them on money, and generate business. Now you're a business partner.
Absolutely.
Great stuff.
So the start is, and I just recommend getting a simple spreadsheet, Excel spreadsheet, which can be imported into a CRM system at another point in time, and get their information that we need. And what do you need to build your database? You need a column, full name, email address, phone number, cell and office, and we'll talk about why we want their cell phone number, their physical address, and the company.
And the reason why you want that stuff is, from our conversation, I know this, but kind of explain, why are you looking for all that information?
I believe that what we want to do to build presence in our marketplace is have a layering effect of marketing. That means we want to touch them in different ways. Some people respond to visual things. Some people respond to emails. Other people hate emails. Some people like texting. So we want to have a systematic means, again, of step-by-step touching our prospective partners, if you will, and have that layering effect of touching them in different ways.
Gives you the opportunity to communicate the way that that particular person wants to communicate with you.
Well, and I think the key is that as we build more and more presence, even if we haven't had a conversation with them yet because we've got them on our target list and we're, again, systematically implementing a strategy. You know, it's all about strategy, systems, and implementation. And step by step, you're going to start building some presence and some awareness, and they're going to say, gosh, who is this Joy Bates that keeps contacting me? You know, maybe they got some things going.
Branding.
Absolute branding, no question about it. And that's where, again, video, emails, video marketing, those kind of things we'll go into in more depth later on, of course, but that's where all that comes into play. So as we just said, layering of strategy, systems, and implementation, communicate with email campaigns, consistent phone calls. There's ways that you can record a message and have it left on their voicemail without them realizing it's a recorded message. One of my favorite strategies is the Friday afternoon text or call that says, if you're working this weekend, we're working, here's my phone number if you need anybody to get pre-approved, because they may not be able to find their existing lending partner, and they may have somebody they need to work with. And so we just put it out there that we're available to assist them. And I know a lot of people say, oh, don't make yourself available on the weekends and stuff. I don't agree with that. I mean, the real estate business is such that weekends are high impact times. If you're going to take a day off or something, you need to spend some time, you know, to level things out. You know, certainly you can easily, with today's technology, work from home or on your cell phone on a Saturday or Sunday, and I don't mind getting phone calls for our loan officers that could be thousands of dollars at the other end of that phone call on a Saturday or Sunday. Take off Tuesday or Wednesday if you need a day off. So direct mail, one of my favorite things is we like to send a variety of different things via direct mail. Recognition for top producers. I call it lumpy mails, things that may get their attention. Again, it's just building that branding, if you will, and doing things in kind of fun ways that get your attention.
With direct mail for me, 5 years ago, I may not have said, direct mail is a great marketing tool to be used. If you think about the way that marketing has gone over, I mean, you know, Chad, as well as anybody, being in business as long as you have, in the middle and early 90s when email first came out, it was different enough then that email marketing worked like crazy. Well, these days, email is more the commonplace than direct mail. Direct mail is seen as unusual. And
Absolutely.
So putting something in their mailbox as opposed to their inbox, it carries a little bit different weight than it did just a couple of years ago. It actually has a bigger impact now because it's different than what they're used to seeing from everybody else. So I am a big proponent of direct mail, especially today because of the way that technology has taken hold. People are used to getting email campaigns. You're starting to see a lot more text messaging campaigns and cell phone messaging campaigns. Switch it up. Go back to some old school tactics to get recognized and, again, give yourself that opportunity to stand out that's different than what everybody else is doing.
Well, and one of the things that I want to drive home too, I'm not talking about a bulk mail type approach with realtors. I'm talking about more of a personalized approach. If somebody, we've had a meeting with somebody and it went well and we want to take it to the next level, a simple handwritten thank you note, thanking them for their time and looking forward to the next visit with them. That's high impact time that you spend that 30 or 45 seconds it takes to write that note and stick a stamp on it and get it in the mail. The recognition when you go on to a Facebook page for a Keller Williams or a Coldwell Banker and you find somebody's picture in there as a top producer, recognizing them as a top producer and sending them a note, congratulating on their success in their business, those kinds of things are personalized. So I'm not talking about a bulk, broadcast, send out 1,000 letters type thing. I'm talking about something that's more personalized here.
Absolutely. Our good friend Alan Gross, who's on the call with us today, as a matter of fact, that is his mainstay of how he operates and how he calls it appreciation marketing, which is, he's got a fantastic way that he's always constantly putting a personalized message in their mailbox as opposed to their inbox, which carries a big impact.
Well, I love that, and congratulations on implementing, again, a systematic method of touching people, Alan. That's great stuff. I'm glad to hear that. Congratulations. Okay, so who's our target? As we talked about top producers, I'm not going to discount going after top producers. Just realize that it may take you a longer incubation period, 12, 18 months in some cases. Now, because we've been around our market for so long, people know who we are, so we're able to approach some of those top producers a little bit better. But if I'm just starting in my market or just starting in the business, or I really don't have much in the way of a referral network, I want to target those newbies and up-and-comers. And really, I want to be asking the title reps, who's making a market move? Who do you know who's receptive to ideas about how to build their business? And then it really boils down to making sure that we just keep our numbers up. We have our activity levels to a level that we are choosing and having control of our business. That doesn't mean that you're doing one of these opening interviews that we're going to talk about here shortly a month. We're talking about, what's our job? I mean, our job is taking loan applications or getting face-to-face with people that can send us more loan applications. That's our job. We shouldn't be embroiled in processing and all those other things that too many loan officers get drug into, which gives them on a roller coaster ride. So if you're in that situation and you need better processing support, then give me a call or shout out to me, because you don't need to be doing that. You can't build your business and you're being limited by not having proper support.
Well, one of the things that I work with my one-on-one with my coaching members is exactly what you're talking about now. The first step that what we work on in coaching is putting together a good target list. And I always recommend, yes, you want to have a couple of top producers in that target, but the real thing is, especially if you can get access to that MLS information that you were talking about earlier, is to find those agents that aren't the bottom of the rung, meaning, you know, according to the National Association of Realtors, I think they say the average real estate agent does 6 transactions a year. That's not who I'm looking for. I'm looking for, especially if you're just getting started out with a referral partner type of pillar for your business, is look for those people who are in the 10 to 15 transactions a year range. Those are typically going to be the people that are going to be, first and foremost, more receptive to what you're offering, more receptive to growing their business, because they've experienced some good things in their business. They've experienced a little bit of money growth in their business, but they're not at the top level yet. And typically, somebody that's in that 10 to 15 range has been in the business a little more than a year. They start to get to know some other people that are peers of theirs, and they want to become that top producer in the office. You know, Fred sees George over there that's bringing in 30 deals every year, and they're doing 12. They want to get to that 30. That's a better target to me, because it's somebody that's more interested in what I have to offer to help them grow their business. They're looking for ways to increase business, as opposed to, well, I've got a system down pat. I'm already good with everything I've got. I don't need what you're offering.
No question. And the thing about top producers, too, most of them will have teams. So if I identify a top producer, I'm going to market to that top producer, but I'm also going to be looking at who are their buyer's agents, because that's who's really referring the business out in most cases. I know most top producers let their buyer's agents deal with whoever they want to deal with from a mortgage perspective. A few will restrict it and say, this is my partner. And if you can get one of those, that's great, because you're really adding some value. But the key is look for those buyer's agents.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so the next step is we've got a target, so what are we going to do? Well, it's the old pick up the phone, you know, call and ask them for an appointment. And we're going to give you a specific script that we use. Again, it's about strategy, systems, and implementation. So we're just going to simply ask them for 20 to 30 minutes of their time to explore how we can help them build their business. Now, the key, folks, is we're not going in there selling anything. That is a mistake that most people make in any sales profession, any industry. They go in selling before finding out what people's needs are. So I'm teaching you to go about it from an interview approach, and that's the real key. And again, it automatically starts differentiating yourself, because I guarantee you they've not had somebody come approach them in this manner.
They've probably had people approach them with, hey, I'd love to meet you for 20 or 30 minutes, and then when they get to that meeting, they sit down and, hey, Chad, thanks for meeting me for 20 or 30 minutes. Listen, I've got the greatest processing in all of the area. I can get you to the closing table super fast. And, oh, by the way, my rates are super, super low. Would you like to refer business back and forth with me?
Absolutely. And they don't have any pillars to where they can generate other business that they can bring back to them. And they've not really looked at their value proposition either, Paul. So here's the script that we use. You know, hey there, Fred Agent, this is Chad Bates over at Legacy Mortgage Group. I'm calling today because I've heard you are serious about building your real estate business. I would love to treat you to coffee and explore how I may be able to help you build your business. I'm only asking for 20 to 30 minutes of your time. Is Thursday at 3 or Friday at 2 better for you? Now, you'll notice, Paul,
to the point.
Absolutely. And what's the emphasis? The emphasis is on them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you
Building
heard what I went through,
business.
Absolutely. And if you heard how I went through this, I paused at key points. That's some neuro-linguistic programming techniques. That's a whole other class. But you have emphasis in your pitch up and down, and you pause. I call it a pregnant pause, which in Texas we're used to doing that all the time anyway, because we talk rather slowly. But we have some emphasis there, because it really starts relating back to, I'm here to help you. And that's the differentiating point that is really key and essential when we're trying to build a relationship. See, I want to explore how I may be able to help you build your business. Emphasis on your, you know. I've heard you're serious about building your real estate business. Those are key things that a lot of people overlook. simple, doesn't cost us anything to learn how to communicate effectively and sell effectively, but we're already beginning to differentiate ourselves in the very first phone call.
Because you're making it about them. It's not about you. It really is about them. And a big part of it, it's about them in that, and that goes back to your interview thing. You know, you really are interviewing them. Are they a good fit for you? Are they somebody that you are comfortable working with?
That's the mindset that they don't have to know about, but what we really, you know, by having a lot of activity, we get to choose who we feel like we want to partner with. And we bring real value to the table. We know that. So that's okay for us to choose who we might want to do business with. I will tell you, I've had interviews where I've left after 15 or 20 minutes, never even asked for a second interview because I could tell it was not somebody I wanted a partnership with. Mm-hmm. And that's okay. You need to go into that with that mindset. You're in control of your business, and certainly we get by giving. There's no question about that. We want to make sure that you know, we have an abundance mentality in that regard, and we truly will bring some value to the table to help them build their business. But you can be really picky about who you partnership with, and you should be. So what do we say at the appointment? Well, I've included in Chad's Corner in the members area, you will find a PDF file with exactly the questions that we ask, and I actually sit down, our team does, and we actually sit down and take notes when we're interviewing these people, because, and I've had people say, you're actually taking notes, and I'm like, yeah, this is really important. I want to make sure I get it right, and so if you don't mind, I'm going to take a few notes. And they're like, wow, you know, they're really interested in what I've got to say here and what's important to me. Again, all the emphasis is on them. I am not selling anything in this initial needs assessment, realtor needs assessment interview.
One of the things that I don't think, and you may already know this, Chad, but it's important for everybody to understand. You know, years ago, I went through a program called Sandler Sales Training, which is a national sales training seminar. They do them all over the country. Costs a couple of $1,000s to go to their little 4-hour sessions. One of the things that they talk about is when you meet with a new prospect, to differentiate yourselves, something that no one does is you ask permission. Hey, would it be okay if I take notes of our appointment today? I want to make sure that the things that you say to me, what you say is very important, and I want to make sure that I can accomplish the things that you're asking for in our meeting. So is it okay if I take some notes? And the same, what they're saying in that Sandler training, they said the same thing that you just said. It differentiates you from everyone else, because what other meeting do you go to where somebody's actually taking notes based on your answers?
Absolutely.
It doesn't happen. And so it makes you appear that you care more about what's being discussed, about that actual appointment, because you're doing your due diligence. You're doing homework. It's like going to school. When somebody sees somebody else taking notes, well, you think that's a smarter student because they're taking notes as opposed to the guy that's not taking notes, right?
Well, and we really are telling, excuse me, we really are telling our prospective partners that what you say is important to me. And there's another reason that we want to take notes, Paul. If you're doing 2 or 3 of these a day, which if you really want to make a major market move, that's what you're doing, you need those notes, or you're going to forget who said what.
That is for sure.
So let's just dive right into the questions. Now, these are in a particular order, and I want you to understand that. I think it's really important that we follow systematically these different questions in the order they're in, and you'll understand it a little bit more as we go about this. But, you know, the first thing I want to know, and if I've done my homework right, I already have some answers to some of this, but I want to start off with, tell me about your production goals, you know, for this year. And what amount of production did you do last year? So I'm saying, you know, do they have goals to improve their business and increase it? Or are they ready to go into semi-retirement? Mm-hmm. What amount of production have you done year to date? So, you know, are they on track with their goal, or is their goal just a pie in the sky and they really don't have a methodology to go about doing it? So we're going to start peeling back the layers of the onion, if you will. And again, it's all about their business. So, you know, how many units did it equate to? How many were buyers? How many were listings? Some of the people will not be able to answer these questions, and that's okay, folks. You have to understand that going in. Some of the agents will not even know their own numbers. That tells you something that you can bring some value to them by helping them know their numbers. I'm amazed how many loan officers don't know how many transactions that they did last year or what their closed loan volume was. So those are the same things that would happen on the real estate side. People get so busy, they look in terms of their barometer is, do they have any money in the bank or not? And remember, most real estate agents are broke. And so we want to help them get some money in their bank accounts.
I think that's what I love about this system that you call the Realtor Needs Assessment. I think that's what I love about it most, is that the questions are not just random questions that you're throwing out there just to create conversation. These are purposefully planned questions that happen at a specific time in that interview. What kind of production goals do you have for 2014? What amount of production did you do last year? What amount of production have you done year to date? Basically, what you're asking is are you in a growing mode, or are you just sitting there stagnant?
Absolutely.
That's your first indication as to whether or not that's a good partner for you. But it gets that agent thinking about, probably, what is my goal for, did I just put a number out there? How close to achieving my goal for this year am I? They're now thinking in their own mind, boy, by divulging these answers, they're in their own mind thinking, am I on track? Am I doing well? And if they're not, they're thinking about, what can I do to increase it? What can I do to catch up?
No question, Paul. And it is, you're planting those seeds. That's the key. And what are we doing? We're also communicating that we're here to take this seriously and to take a business-like approach. Some of the most successful loan officer relationships that I've seen across the country, and I've studied everybody for years, they become accountability partners and business partners. I know loan officers who track the transaction count for agents that they're partnered with because they're not disciplined enough to do it. And they'll sit down every quarter and say, okay, here's our plan, here's our actual, what do we need to do to make sure we stay on track? Are we up, are we down? And that's another value proposition you can bring to the table, to be an accountability partner, if you will, as part of the business relationship that you build.
That is fantastic right there, because all of us, in any business, I don't care what business you're in, having an accountability partner to keep you on track. We're human beings. We all have a propensity to waver a little bit from our particular goals. We all have the ability to creatively avoid doing the things that we want to do. But if I've got a partner that I know every Tuesday I'm going to talk to him, and he's going to ask me, did I make my 5 appointments last week? Did I go to the 3 open houses I said I was going to go to? Did I, go out and call on 5 FSBOs last week? If I know that's going to happen, I'm more likely to get that done, because I've got to answer to somebody when it comes time, every Tuesday. I've got to answer to somebody on whether or not I accomplished my goal.
No question.
Huge, huge value right there.
All right, so now we're going to transition just a little bit and, again, begin to plant some seeds and get some information that's important for us. And we're going to kind of start probing a little bit about competitor information and how they get their business and those kinds of things. So the next question is, what's important to you about your current mortgage lender? Now, this is a key thing. Make sure you got your ears wide open on this one. Ask the question and just close your mouth. We learn by listening. There's a reason that God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. We need to be listening more. I think as salespeople, we kind of forget that sometimes. So just a little nudge to remind you about that. But I'm going to begin to get a little bit of information. How do you generate your leads? Well, that doesn't go into competitor information, but I want to know how they're building their business. How are they getting their leads right now? Are they buying leads? Are they, paying for leads on the internet? Is it just who happens to ever, they go in the office and hope the phone's going to ring? Do they have any proactive approach? All these are things that can help us go back to them later on with a plan on how we can help them build their business. This is a key component. Does your current mortgage lender help you generate leads? I'm going to tell you, you'll get some startled looks from some real estate agents when you ask that question, because I've had phone calls, and I've got a top producer here in our town that when I call, he says, dadgummit, Chad, I have to call you back because I know every time you call me, you're getting ready to give me some business. And so because of that, he will return my phone calls, and he's been the #1 agent in our market for a long time. So because he knows that we've got systems in place to where we're generating leads that we can take back to him. And then, of course, the law of reciprocity kicks in too. But just that one question, does your current mortgage lender help you generate leads? That's going to differentiate you. Now, the key is you have to have some pillars that you're working on where you can really generate some leads. And again, we've got a lot of different ways to do that, as we've talked about before, and we'll talk about more in the future. This is a key one, I think, too, because not all mortgage companies are equal. We know that. Some don't have certain programs. A lot of mortgage companies, for instance, a year or two ago, wouldn't lend under anything under 640. Still, that's the case with some lenders because they got in trouble with their scorecards. Well, if there's under 620 now, 580 to 620, does your lender have a niche for that? Joy just picked up a loan the other day from a real estate agent that we've been wanting to work with, and their existing lender did not have an under 620 program, and they had somebody that they couldn't help. And so we were kind of on deck, and so they called Joy, and we're able to get that loan program. Now we can show him how we do business, and then, of course, we're going to have the conversation with them. I did the tough deal that your current lender couldn't do. Let's talk about how we can get some more business, and can you give us a couple of easy ones as well? 203K niches. I talk about that all the time, Paul. You've heard me kind of just drive that home. But the fact that we have 203K in-house, a lot of companies don't have any renovation loan program. So again, I'm not selling here. I'm not saying I've got a renovation loan program. I'm just asking, are there any programs that your current lender doesn't have that you need to help build your business?
You know what I'm missing? What I'm seeing here that's missing on these 4 questions right here, Chad, is you didn't ask, are you working with a mortgage lender currently? And I think that's really important that you're approaching it in a way that you're assuming that they're already, if they're in the real estate business, if they're doing a transaction, the reality is they're working with somebody. They have to be, because people don't get to the closing table without getting the loan. So they have to be working with somebody. And I love that you're approaching them assuming, I know you've already got a relationship. Let me ask you a couple of questions about that relationship. And you're prompting them, as you said, planting seeds, prompting them to think about, man, my current lender doesn't help me generate leads. You know what? My current lender does not. I had that veteran a couple of weeks ago, and my current lender could not do the VA loan.
Well, and I want to caution everybody right at this point, because this is where the natural salespeople start thinking, oh, I'm going to start selling them on how the systems we've got to generate leads. Do not do that. Your purpose in this 20 to 30 minutes is solely to interview them and gain information. You are not to be selling anything. It's to interview them and get information. If you don't do that, you're going to mess up the system. So make sure you follow that cardinal rule, if you will. Okay, so then I want to get some information from them, too. I want to assess their passion, as it says on the slide. This is a really, really powerful question, too. Who do you admire the most in the real estate industry, and why? Now, almost anybody that's serious about their business has somebody that they really want to emulate. So when you ask that question, not only are you going to find out what their aspirations are, but you might pick up a name of somebody that you didn't know about before that you want to add to your target list. And so that's a key question for us. Have you seen any marketing ideas you would like to implement? Realtors are notorious about being very poor implementers. So if we can come to them with purposeful planned implementation techniques, strategies, systems, and help them implement, we're bringing real value. Again, we're not going to sell here. We're just going to ask the question, if so, what are they? Okay? And then what has stopped you from implementing these ideas? So we're looking for some pain points here, too.
Sure. That's exactly what just flowed through my mind right as you said that, Chad, for me, that's a big one. What has stopped you from implementing these ideas? You're now asking them to divulge their pain to you in a very soft and easy way, but that's really going to drive home. It's going to get to where their pain is. Oh, I just don't have enough time. Oh, I work by myself. I'm already doing 60 hours. I just can't do it. I don't know enough about technology to be able to do that. I don't even know where to begin to start doing that kind of a thing.
Well, and this is a great place where if you find somebody now, you know whether or not they're making money or not. You know if they're spending all their money on advertising. Maybe this is a great strategy to share with them as you go back to them later on about how you can help them get a virtual assistant that can assist them for $2 or $2.50 an hour. And so again, bringing some value to the table in ways that other people, believe me, most real estate agents do not know how to go about doing that. They think,
not here. You're not telling them about that when they answer this question. You're holding that back. You've got ideas flowing through your mind, but you're not selling them on it yet.
Absolutely. We are not selling. We are simply interviewing. So then I like to go through and assess where they are in different tools. I call it tools for success. Do they have a database? If so, how many names are on it? You know, what software are they using? Sometimes people are spending a bunch of money on software that they're really not utilizing fully. You know, how do you market to your database and how often? Do you have email addresses for all your database? You would be surprised, even many top producers still don't have an effective way to communicate with their clients, and they don't have email addresses, etc. So again, we're not going to go through and give solutions. We're just going to be asking questions, okay?
You're building up your ammunition for later.
Absolutely. Do you have an assistant? Who is it? What do they do? Etc. How do you determine who to refer clients to for their mortgage needs? Now we're starting to probe a little bit more. We've planted some seeds. We found out a little bit about their business. Now we're going to try to find out a little bit about our competition. And again, the different steps here are critical that you follow them in order, because now we're going to ask, who do you currently refer your mortgage business to and why?
We didn't ask that before because we were assuming. We know that they're working with somebody already. We want to know what's being provided. Now you're kind of asking who are you referring your business to and why? And now we can kind of know, well, he's referring him to this guy who's over with Fairway. Well, I know Fairway, they don't have this, and I do have that. So you're building up your ammunition as this interview is going. You're giving yourself ammunition.
No question, and you need to build some rapport before you ask a probing question like this. You don't go in right up front and ask them who they're doing business with and why. You know, that's the wrong way to go about doing it. So again, follow the plan. They're here in a specific order, and each one of these questions, you'll find as you do this over and over, you will learn that, man, I just got a gem there. But I'm not going to say anything yet. I'm not going to say anything yet. I'm going to continue my interview process and stick to the system.
Again, that's why you're taking notes. You're taking notes. You know, what I would do in that situation based on what they're responding, put a little asterisk by it so you highlight it in your notes section. Make sure that you can follow up on those notes.
Absolutely. Now you'll notice that we put that question in about who they do business with right in the middle of tools for success. So we kind of slid it in there, Paul.
Mm-hmm.
So then we're going to go through and ask some more questions. Do you post your listings on the internet? You know, if so, how and where? Do you have a website? You'd be surprised how many real estate agents still don't have a website. Now,
what's funny is they'll answer it with yes, and then you say, oh, what is your website? They say it's www.century21.com/Paul Baxter.
Absolutely.
That's not their website.
You know, how do you differentiate yourself from your competition? You know, how important is it to differentiate yourself from your competition? I want to know whether they think about things or not, Paul, because again, I'm talking about investing my time in my systems and my tools, and so I'm trying to make a decision as I go through this. Is this somebody I want to be doing business with and making an investment in?
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, the things about social media, Facebook, MySpace, Twitter, Active Rain. I want to know, are they technology savvy or not? Are they really using these different media? They all know they need to be, but you'd be surprised how many don't do anything. And then we want to start our close. So I like to ask some probing questions. What questions have I asked today that has really piqued your interest? I'm going to tell you one of the things that you'll get consistently if you ask these questions the right way is going back to, I'm really interested about a mortgage lender that could help generate leads for me. You know, that's one that you get. And you'll find as you do a number of these interviews, you're going to start getting a real feel that they flow most times in a very similar fashion. So, you know, you'll find that after doing a half a dozen of these, you'll get much better at it, and you're going to start seeing that you'll have the answers to most of the questions are pretty consistent. Do you have text message capability for sign writers on your listings? Now, we ask that particular question because we've got a system that can help them capture some of the lead. Most realtors don't. So what's your number one challenge in your business today? Again, I want to know what their pain point is. If I can help them rid themselves of that pain point, we're going to have a basis for building a relationship together. And then another one that's really key, what's the most important thing about your real estate business? A lot of times this will get real personal, and they'll talk about, well, you know, I've got a sister who has a child that has special needs, and I need to help her out because she has to take care of the child, and I need to help her out financially. I mean, I've had people get real personal about things like this when I ask that kind of question, but it's because I've taken a step-by-step process and built some rapport, and I've, by this point, they know this is all about them, Paul. Okay, and here's a specific script that we use. First off, we ask for 20 to 30 minutes of your time, so I want to make sure we are very respectful for that. Sometimes I've had people say, well, can you stay and talk a little bit longer? No, I only ask for 20 to 30 minutes of your time, you know, and I want to think about this. So what I want to say is, and this is a great sales technique, you're asking, you know, you're basically saying, so what I heard you say was blank is the most important thing about your real estate business. So that's the last question we ask them, right? What will blank ultimately do for you and your life? Make sure you put you and your life. Okay, that's key. And then sit back and listen again. They're going to tell you some really powerful things at this point probably about what, if they could take it to the next level, if they go from 5 transactions a year to 20 or from 10 to 30, what that would do for them in their life. And then you can tie that into them. So you're asking about their goals and their dreams. And then, you know, thank you for your time today. I'd like to respect the initial time limit I asked you to commit to today and think about our discussion. Then next week, bring back some ideas on how we might be able to help you attain and exceed your goals for your business. If I'm able to help you with that, would you consider partnering with us and referring us business?
I love that, Chad, because what you're saying right there is in essence, you're giving yourself a second opportunity right off the bat. And that's one of the biggest things that I see a lot of lenders have trouble with, is giving them, say, you know, oh, I can get the first meeting, no problem. You know, what do I do after that? I've had that first meeting. What's next? This is the perfect lead-in to give you a second opportunity to sit down and continue to build that rapport, to continue to build that relationship. And you're doing it based on, hey, I'd like an opportunity to kind of boil over some of these things that we've discussed today and come up with, meet you next week to come up with some ideas on how I may be able to help you get to that goal of 30 transactions for 2014, as you said in your first, you know, as you're going through it. I love the idea of that.
And I think the key is you're doing a trial close, obviously. If I'm able to help you with that, would you consider partnering with us and referring us business? So, you know, we're setting up the basis for a reciprocal partnership, are we not?
Mm-hmm. It's almost like a no-brainer close right there. It's you know, if I can help you with the thing that you just told me you were trying to do, would you consider partnering with us? It lets you know whether or not you built some rapport during that conversation, because if they say anything other than yes, then you haven't built any rapport during there, because that's a no-brainer answer right there.
Absolutely. And I want to emphasize again, if you get through this and you feel like that somebody is just, you know, they have no personality, they have no plan of action, they're just kind of drifting through life, you don't have to go into this closing script. You are in control because you have other appointments and other people that you can get in front of, and we want to choose those people that we like and want to be business partners with, people that we can go to a ball game with or go out to dinner with or whatever it is that you like to do and enjoy ourselves because we've become friends.
You know, what's awesome about this, and I think I heard you say at the very beginning, you started doing this Realtor Needs Assessment back in 1993. And I've seen a very similar thing with previous employers, with, you know, other people in the biz. Golly, I know that this is probably, I think if they call themselves the core, but this, what you've done here, that's all that they do. That's their entire focus. And it's something that you've done for, what, 21 years now?
Well, and it goes back even further than that, Paul, because prior to being in the mortgage business, I was in the commercial banking business, and we had a very active calling program on commercial businesses. And so I took this same approach back then, and when I got into the mortgage business, I said, you know, it worked for me before. I asked people about what their needs are, and I fill their needs. I'm not going in selling something. I'm going to ask them what they need. And so that's what I said, let's just do the same thing to the real estate industry, and that's when we introduced this concept.
And here we are 20-something years later, and it's the thing that probably works best. What I like about it is the way that you have those questions structured is it leads you from a beginning all the way to an end with purposeful questions that are planned out in each step of this, that are meant to take that person down almost like you're completing a story for them or taking them through their own movie of their business, where you're asking them incremental questions based on what the previous questions have, and they lead you through, or they take them down the path to seeing you as somebody that can help them in their business, help them achieve those goals. Be a lender that can help them generate leads. Be a lender that has programs that others may not be able to do for them. That's another opportunity for them. That's what I think I like best about this, is the flow of the way that you've structured these questions. Now, how did you come up with that flow? I mean, is that just what came to you the first time? How did that work for you?
No, I worked on that for several years, as you might imagine, Paul, and I've studied neuro-linguistic programming techniques and rapport building techniques, and the easiest way to build a rapport with a real estate agent is to find out what's important to them. Make it all about your client, your partner. That's the key. And I think that the other thing that I've seen so many loan officers, unfortunately, over time do, Paul, is they don't have any system. They don't have a strategy. It's, they might show up at a real estate function and think that they're networking. Well, they forget that the reason that they're at that real estate function is to try to get an appointment for a one-on-one interview, and they go in selling as opposed to asking questions, and they don't differentiate themselves from the competition. All of these questions, this whole approach is designed to give our members a step-by-step methodical way to go about building a huge referral network. And if you can do this, it ultimately you can build assistants under you to take care of everything else. Your job is to be building these relationships that can refer business to us. That's the whole key. I think it's critical that our members understand that.
I think it's pretty awesome that what's cool about this, guys, is that Chad's already done the hard part. He's already figured out what doesn't work. So you don't have to worry about, are these questions going to work? Chad's already market tested the question. I'm sure that this is not what you started with. I mean, I'm sure there were questions on there that, ooh, boy, did that backfire on me during this meeting. That question's out of here. Oh, man, I forgot to ask this. Let me add that question into there.
No question.
This is tested material. This is stuff that's been put into the marketplace and figured out what question works here. How does the flow work best? If I switch up the order of this question, what if I throw this question in the middle there? Will that lead me down the path or lead my prospect or target down the path a little bit more? That's what I like about the things that we're doing here, Chad, is that you've tested this is not theory. This is not, I think this is going to work for you guys. Give it a try. Let us know how you do. This is tested material. This is put into practice in Chad's own mortgage business and tweaked and edited and perfected and then delivered to you for you to be able to take it and just take it out of the box and ride down the street on it.
Well, Paul, I've told you this before. I've made every mistake there is. So I'd like for our members to learn from my mistakes and not have to go out and reinvent the wheel.
And this is great stuff, guys. What we're talking about here, we've spent a little bit of time talking about consumer direct marketing approaches. We've spent a little bit of time about talking about how to do that, what it's for, how it can help you. But as Chad said in the very beginning of this, having a referral partner marketing strategy or a system, a referral partner getting system in place is the #1 pillar, because all the other pillars kind of filter through or into those referral partner networks. systems. And what you've done here is you've given me a way to, first of all, figure out who I want to get, who I need to get in front of. Not want, but need to get in front of. You've given me a way to easily get in front of them, and then you've given me a way to be able to differentiate myself during that, when I'm in front of them, so that I can become different. And now I've got 2 built-in meetings. It's not just one. I've got 2 built-in face-to-face opportunities. Now, each and every one of us, I believe wholeheartedly that people gravitate towards a career that is based on their personalities. You know, if we were a personality type that was introverted, we're not people persons, we'd probably be mechanics in a car shop somewhere, wrenching, you know, doing something that isn't public related. But we're all in the mortgage business. We're lenders. We're people persons, and I think that our personalities gravitate us towards what we should be doing in our careers. And for us, because we're people persons, because this is our, and we've chosen this career path because of that, we're good at building relationships. We're good with people. We can sit down, we can go to a network function, and we can talk to people without feeling apprehensive, without being guarded or shy. And so giving yourself that thing to make you differentiate yourself, what happens is now you're building relationships faster and deeper relationships than in previous past, because you've got ammunition. You're asking the right questions. We're not just willy-nilly, I like to say winging it. We're not winging it here. We've got a very specific, purposeful, planned implementation process that we're putting into place and making sure that it's going, you know, knowing full well this is what the result is going to be. I think that gives us an opportunity for more and deeper relationships.
You know, Paul, the thing that I've seen, and when I've asked loan officers across the country for many years, is the number one thing they say is, well, I get an appointment, what am I supposed to say? Well, this takes it all away. And when you do this over and over, you get better at asking those questions, and you get better at the pregnant pauses at certain points, and you get better at the neuro-linguistic programming, which absolutely builds rapport. Again, can't emphasize enough, we're making this about them. We're not giving solutions in this time. So next week we're going to talk about the next step, which is going back to them with the written plan and a commitment letter, and we'll go through step by step what we do there that, again, nobody else in your marketplace does. I can assure you of that. I love this picture here because, you know, it's a black and white photo with success in the hand, but that golden key where the money is in purposeful plan implementation, folks. That's where the money is. That's why that's a golden key there, and everything else is black and white. That's where the success comes from. So next week we'll be going through that next step.
Hit the nail right on the head. That's it. You know, in my one-on-one coaching, and I talk to lenders, mortgage lenders every day with the intent of helping them grow the business. And look, you know, the 2 things that I hear most are, how do I get the appointment? What do I say at the appointment? And then, you know, the other thing is well, I got the appointment. I have no problem getting that, and I can sit down and build a relationship with the best of them, which is most of the time meaning, oh, I just BS with them and become buddies. But what this does is it gives you that first initial meeting and brands you and gives you that opportunity to differentiate yourself, but it has that built-in second meeting right then and there. That second meeting is where you're going to get that second or third meeting, really, is where you're going to get that opportunity to really work business together. It's not, you know, very seldom are you going to get and this goes for any sales business. What is it, 5% of sales happen in the first contact, or 2% of sales? It's a ridiculously low number. And it's like 92% of sales happen from contact number 5 to 12. That goes for referral partners. We're selling ourselves as referral partners. That's what it is. So you have to think about those numbers as you go through it. You're not going to close your deal. You're not going to get a referral partner on the first meeting. It's just not going to happen, and you need to go into those meetings with that mentality or that mindset that, you know what I'm looking to do here is build rapport And I know that I'm going to, a week later, 1 week from today, I'm going to have an opportunity to ask for business. I'm going to have an opportunity to ask for a partnership.
Well, I think the key is if you go about this, you'll see over the next couple of weeks, between this initial interview and then going back with a commitment letter, and then the next step will be going to engage the relationship with some of the unique tools that we have to help build their business, then you've got built in 3 touches face-to-face with a prospective partner. And so again, it's a system, and you're right, Paul. Don't go into it thinking you're going to ask for a loan the first time. We're not there to give any solutions. We're there to ask questions, put them first, and then we'll come back next week with some solutions on how we might be able to add value to them in their business. And then we can begin engaging the relationship, whether it be working with their assistants or their buyer's agents or what have you, to implement some of the things. Give, 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 and then you'll get.
That's it. Great stuff, Chad. Again, man, that's great stuff. The way that you've got those questions structured is just, it just takes me down the path, and that's what I like. It takes the guesswork. It takes the, well, what if I ask this now and then later on I'll get to that. Nah, just if you follow the system, having a system in place that has a specific intent, if you follow it, you come out the other end golden. I mean, that's what it's intended for. And again, guys, the mistakes have already been made. This is time-tested, edited, tweaked, and perfected over time. And now you've got the perfected material in front of you, so take it out, put it into practice into your business. And absolutely, somebody's asking, is there any way to get this PowerPoint? Absolutely there is. This PowerPoint is going to be posted with the recording of the class in the members area under Top Producer Interviews, as well as we'll place this under Chad's Corner as well. So it'll be in both places on the website, and yes, the PowerPoint will be there for you to download. We want to make sure you guys have the PowerPoint because that's where the questions are. It's also where the script for making that initial phone call is, so that you can follow. And again, you know me when it comes to scripts, I always recommend take the script that we've put together, edit and tweak it, and put it into your own language. Put it into language that sounds like your words, not our words.
And I think we will have also the PDF of the actual scripts and the Realtor Needs Assessment. That'll be there, so you won't have to go through the PowerPoint to get that. That'll be on the PDF that you can print and take to your appointments.
That's on by itself, absolutely. And again, those items will be, and I think that PDF that's under Chad's Corner, is it not?
That's correct.
Okay, cool. Chad, thank you again, my friend. Great stuff as always. Guys, girls, mark your calendars. Chad said towards the end there, next week we're going to be talking about the commitment letter, and which is your follow-up to, this is your Realtor Needs Assessment. This is how you, get that appointment, what to say during that initial appointment. Next Friday, we're going to dive deep into exactly how to take the information from your notes, put it into a format that lets them know that you've been thinking about them, that lets them know that you've got their best interest at heart, and you're looking for a commitment on their half and your half to make this, to put this into practice to help them start growing their business. This is great stuff. So part 2 of today's class will be next week, and we'll be covering the commitment letter. So mark your calendars, make sure you've got it scheduled, because you are not going to want to miss that. Chad, I think that's it for today.
Well, thank you, Paul. Everybody have a wonderful weekend. Thank you for your time. We know that you can spend your time anywhere that you choose to, and we're honored that you spend the time with us, and we hope that we are really bringing some value to you.
Thank you as well, Chad, again, for taking, you're running a mortgage business at the same time, so taking the time out to help us in growing our mortgage businesses, we can't thank you enough. Guys, remember, it's all about purposeful, planned implementation. Have a plan. Make sure that that plan has a purpose behind it. You've defined the goals of it, and then implement it. And that's the story of the game. Thank you so much for hanging out with us here at Mortgage Mastermind Group. We are here to help you grow. Have a fantastic weekend, and we will see you right back here, same time, same place next week. Bye now.